Chapter 26. The Sixth Miracle. John chapter 9, verses 1 to 7. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground, and made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation, sent. He went his way therefore, and washed, and came seeing. John chapter 9, verses 1 to 7. We have here a key miracle, in that, as verse 14 later tells us, it was performed on the Sabbath. It was a deliberate challenge to the religious leaders and their unbiblical Sabbatarianism. Jesus, as he passed by, stopped before a man who was blind from birth. Healing the blind is a very important kind of miracle. Blindness, due to a variety of causes, was once a common affliction. Even in my lifetime, blindness was a devastatingly prevalent fact worldwide. Many were blind from birth, and many became blind by their 40s. In this area, many Christians and non-Christian missions have been most noteworthy in reducing this ancient curse. Much goodwill for the United States has been gained by such medical work over the years. An older generation saw Americans as the people who restored sight. When the disciples saw the blind man, they raised a theological question. They assumed that sin was the cause of blindness, so their question was, whose sin? Did this man sin while in his mother's womb? It was then held falsely in reference to Genesis chapter 25, verse 22, and Psalm 51, verse 5, and like verses, that the unborn baby, as already a person, could sin. Perhaps, the disciples suggested, his parents sinned, and they were punished by a blind child. Their thinking was man-centered. They wanted an explanation that would place causality in man, whereas God is the supreme cause in all history and nature. Our Lord's answer was blunt. Neither the child nor the parents sinned. God ordained this so that his works should be revealed in this man. Verse 3. J. H. Bernard observed in his comments on this verse, The doctrine of predestination is apparent at every point in the fourth gospel, every incident being viewed sub specie aeternitatis, as predetermined in the mind of God. As Luthi pointed out, we are all here so that God's works can be made manifest in us. There is no life under the sun that is without meaning or reason. It is our duty to recognize that God created us for his purposes, not for our own purposes. Then our Lord says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. Verse 4. This he said for the disciples and for us. While we are alive, we must serve our God, not ourselves. Death comes soon, and the time for our work here is then ended. At issue are questions of focus and causality. The question of the disciples, whose sin caused this blindness, was man-centered. Because they were man-centered in their view of causality, they were man-centered in their focus. For them, there had to be an answer to such questions in terms of this life, the here and now, whereas our Lord tells them their focus must be eternity. Why do some people experience so much pain, grief, and trouble? If we seek a man-centered answer in terms of this world and this time frame, we will be ignorant and miserable. If we seek the answer in God, we know that our focus will have eternity in mind. Our common failure is to limit our reaction to what we can see, and this warps our focus. Our Lord then declares, As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Verse 5. Ernst Henschen commented that, while for us he is indeed the light of the world, he here tells the disciples why he, performs a miracle now to be narrated. The miracle will make it obvious that he is the light of the world. Jesus, the light of the world, gives light to a man blind from birth. If we follow the light, we will ourselves give light by doing his works in all spheres of life and thought. In Alford's words, as before the raising of Lazarus, chapter 11, verse 25, he states that he is the resurrection and the life. So now he sets forth himself as the source of the archetypal spiritual light, of which the natural, now about to be conferred, is only a derivation and symbol. Westcott noted, Christ is light to the world as well as the one light of the world. The implications of this text are far-reaching. Calvin, in his commentary, observed, for he compares himself to the sun, which, though it illuminates the whole earth by its brightness, yet, when it sets, takes away the day along with it. In this manner he states that his death will resemble the setting of the sun, not that his death extinguishes or obscures his light, but that it withdraws the view of it from the world. At the same time, he shows that, when he was manifested in flesh, that was truly the time of the day light of the world. The apostolic writings give us that sense of having beheld his glory, or having been history's most privileged people. 1 John chapter 1, verse 1 makes this emphatically clear. Our Lord then mixed some of his spit with the clay on the ground to anoint the blind man's eyes. Verse 6. He ordered the blind man to go to the pool of Siloam, called Sent, because the waters came gushing out, and there to wash his eyes. With his eyes covered with clay, it was necessary for the blind man, whether he wanted to or not, to go to this nearby pool. He had no choice but to do so. Nothing was promised him. He was simply ordered to go and wash up. This is clear from verse 15, when the man answers a question of the Pharisees. He had been told nothing other than to wash the clay off his eyes. This was an unasked-for miracle. It was performed on the Sabbath. It was a direct challenge against false religion. The Pharisees were the epitome of zealous and self-righteous piety. They saw themselves as the guardians of the faith. Our Lord then confronts them with a miracle that challenges their Sabbatarian rules. It was a confrontational act because it required them to choose between their self-styled holiness and a miracle from God. They too had to face the question of causality. Who was responsible for this miracle? Was a miracle of healing more important than their man-made rules? Also, there was a matter of focus. The Pharisees saw their rules about the Sabbath as more binding than the obvious work of God. They judged Jesus, but God judged them.